Hey, it's Chris, and I want to say thank you to our veterans, active duty military, and first responders for serving our great nation. You're listening to The Chris Carlisle Show, hosted by me, Chris Carlisle. And welcome to the Chris Carlisle Show. I'm Chris, by the way. Thank you. On this week's episode, we're going to take a look at some mysterious vanishings. Such cases as the Lost Colony of Roanoke, D.B. Cooper, the Mary Celeste, Jimmy Hoffa, Judge Joseph Forrest Crater, Benjamin Bradhurst, Michael Rockefeller, and Amelia Earhart. That's coming up right after this. Let's take a look at the Lost Colony of Roanoke. It was one of the first English settlements in the New World in what is now North Carolina. It was established in 1587, and it had 100 settlers, and John White, who was the governor, went back to England for supplies. He came back 3 years later and found everyone gone, including his family, his daughter, his son-in-law, and his baby granddaughter, who was born right after he left, or right before he left. Now, what happened to them? Well, there are several theories. Some say they died from disease. Others say they starved to death. While others say they were killed by the native tribes in the area. Other theories are they assimilated with the friendly tribes, or they went somewhere else, or they tried to go back to England and were lost at sea. Well, Governor White tried to investigate. He was hampered by a storm and had to go back to England, where he died a few years later. Next, the D.B. Cooper hijacking. Okay, the D.B. Cooper case. In 1971, a flight from Portland to Seattle was hijacked by a man calling himself Dan or D.B. Cooper. He told the flight attendant that he had a bomb in his suitcase and demanded $200,000 in $20 bills and 4 parachutes. When they got back to Seattle and he got what he wanted, he let the rest of the passengers off and then told the pilots to take him to Mexico. Halfway through just after they left Seattle, he jumped out of the plane and was never seen again. The FBI has determined that he probably didn't survive the jump as he was wearing a regular suit and loafers with his parachute when he jumped out of the plane. And also the name he gave, Dan Cooper or D.B. Cooper, was not his real name, and his real name still isn't known. The investigation into the case stayed open until 2016. In 1980, a kid found some of the money around Vancouver, Washington. It's still one of the FBI's unsolved cases. I saw an episode about it on the TV show Brad Meltzer's Decoded with the noted author Brad Meltzer, and they investigated a possible suspect. Coming next, the Mary Celeste. Okay, what happened to the Mary Celeste? In 1872, a ship sailing out of Canada found an American ship, the Mary Celeste, which adrift and abandoned in the Atlantic Ocean off the Azore Islands. The charts were thrown out, the crew belongings were in their drawers, but the lifeboat was missing, and the cargo of alcohol was still on board. Some of the theories include that the crew got drunk and mutinied and killed the captain and his family, but a British inquiry found no sign of foul play. The captain thought the ship was going to sink and ordered the crew to abandon, and as they were getting on the lifeboat, it broke off, fell into the sea, and everyone drowned. It was later used in a scam when the new owner tried to sink it, but the scam was found out, but the ship was damaged and sunk anyway when the sink triad rotted after a few years. Now, earlier on, what happened to it was investigated, it was suspected that that incident was a scam, because the captain of the Mary Celeste and the captain of the Canadian ship knew each other. Next, Jimmy Hoffa. Okay, the disappearance of Jimmy Hoffa. In 1975, former Teamsters president Jimmy Hoffa went to meet some Teamster officials at a restaurant outside of Detroit, Michigan, and was never seen again. It's believed he may have been killed by organized crime, but his body was never found. A popular story that lasted for years was that he was buried in the end zone of Giants Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, which was being built at the time. He was officially declared dead in 1982. And now a judge goes missing. In 1930, Judge Joseph Crater, the Associate Justice of the New York Supreme Court, was last seen leaving a restaurant on 45th Street in Manhattan, and no one saw him after that. The disappearance was the subject of widespread media attention and a grand jury investigation. Justice Crater was declared dead in 1939, and the missing persons file was closed in 1979. But new leads surfaced in 2005. Next, the case of Benjamin Broadhurst. In 1809, British diplomat Benjamin Broadhurst vanished in Prussia during the Napoleonic Wars, where he was trying to get Austria to join Britain against Napoleon. It's believed he was murdered, but that's never been substantiated. A skull was found in 1852 with signs of violence on it, but the identity of the person was undetermined. Next, what happened to Rockefeller heir Michael Rockefeller? And now the case of Michael Rockefeller. In 1961, Michael Rockefeller, son of New York Governor Nelson Rockefeller, vanished while on an expedition in the Netherlands, New Guinea. Governor Rockefeller, the Dutch government, searched for him along with the U.S. 7th Fleet that offered aircraft, and President Kennedy even offered to help. The search for Michael Rockefeller went for a week, but he wasn't found, and the governor eventually went back to New York. It's believed that Rockefeller drowned when his body was then capsized, but other theories include that he was killed by a native tribe, killed in a shark or a crocodile attack, and even eaten by cannibals. An investigator hired by his mother went to New Guinea and brought back 3 skulls and showed it to the family, but the families never said anything about it. And finally, Amelia Earhart goes flying around the world and never comes back. In 1937, famous female aviator Amelia Earhart and her navigator Fred Noonan leave New Guinea and radio that they're running out of fuel and they can't find land, but after that no contact is made. The search goes on for weeks, but the aviators or the wreckage is never found. The U.S. government concluded that the plane probably ran out of gas and crashed. Amelia Earhart was declared dead in 1939. There is a theory that she was on a spy mission and was captured and executed by the Japanese. Another is that they landed on an uncharted island because tools and a plane wreckage were found. But none of these have been proven true. It's still one of the most enduring mysteries in history, as are these others, probably because they were never solved. I want to thank you for listening. Be sure to leave a like, a rating, and a follow. Check out the website, the-Chris-Carlisle-show-1.onpodium.com. Till then, I'll see you next time. Hi, I'm Chris, and thank you for listening to my podcast, The Chris Carlisle Show. The Chris Carlisle Show is available on Spreaker. Please leave a like and a review, and also a follow. It's also available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeart, Podchaser, and Podcast Addict. And now, ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem.